Welcome to the lecture on firewalls. A firewall is a network security device, either hardware or software based, which monitors all incoming and outgoing traffic, and based on defined set of security rules it accepts, rejects or drops that specific traffic. A firewall establishes a barrier between secured internal network and outside untrusted network such as internet. So first we will see about these firewalls. The definition says that a firewall acts as a security guard controlling access between an internal protected network and an external untrusted network based on given security policy. Besides preventing intruder getting in, a firewall also helps prevent confidential inside data from getting out. A firewall may be implemented in hardware as a standalone firewall appliance or in software on a PC. In addition, many routers supports basic firewall functionality. A single firewall may be adequate for small business and homes. However, in several larger enterprises, multiple firewalls are deployed to achieve defense in depth. So, in this chapter, first we will look at firewall functionality and then we are going to study about different types of firewalls. The main functionality of a firewall are listed as access control, address or port translation, logging, authentication, and caching. Access control. A firewall filters incoming as well as outgoing packets. Incoming means it may be from internet into the organization. Outgoing means from within the organization to the outside. A firewall is said to be configured with a rule set based on which it decides which packets are allowed and which are to be dropped. Address or port translation. NAT means it is network address translation. It was initially devised to alleviate the serious shortage of IP addresses by providing a set of private addresses that could be used by system administrator on their internal network but that are globally invalid. That means that addresses are invalid in internet. Publicly accessible machines with an organization such as web server may or may not have public internet address. However, it is possible to conceal the address schema of these machines from the outside world through the use of NAT. Through NAT, internal machines, though not visible on the internet, can establish connection with external machines on the internet. So, NATing is often done by firewalls. Logging. A sound security architecture will ensure that each incoming or outgoing packet encounters at least one firewall. The firewall can log all anomalous packets or flows for later study. These logs are very useful for studying attempts at intrusion together with various worms and DDoS attacks. Next is authentication and caching. Some type of firewalls perform authentication of external machines attempting to establish a connection with an internal machine. A special type of firewall called a web proxy authenticates internal users attempting to access an external service. Such a firewall is also used to cache frequently requested web pages. This results in decreasing response time to the client while saving communication bandwidth. Next we will see about policies and access control list. High-level policies for access to various type of services are formulated within an organization or campus. Example of these include the following policies. All received emails should be filtered for spams and virus. All HTTP requests by external clients for access to authorized pages of the organization website should be permitted. DNS queries made by external client should be allowed provided they pertain to addresses of the organization's publicly accessible services such as web server or an external email server. However, queries related to the IP address of internal machine should not be entertained. The organization employee should be allowed to remotely log in to authorized internal machines. However, all such communication should be authenticated and encrypted. Only two types of outgoing traffics are permitted. First, all emails from within the organization to the outside world are permitted. Second, requesting emanating from within the organization for external web pages are permitted. However, requests for pages from certain inappropriate websites should be denied. So, high-level policies are translated into set of rules that comprise an access control list (ACL). A rule specifies the action to be performed as a function of the packet source IP address and port number, the packet's destination IP address and port number, the transport protocol in use TCP or UDP, the packet direction incoming or outgoing. So the policies in general be either permissive or restrictive. A permissive policy is defined as permit all packets except those that are explicitly forbidden. The restrictive policy, on the other hand, is defined as drop all packets except those they are explicitly permitted. The following table shows the implement some set of restrictive policies. The default action is deny as expressed in rules 5 and 8 of the table. So here the rules are scanned from top to bottom. As soon as rule is found that matches the packet's attribute, that is IP address, port number, etc., the action in that rule is taken and no further rules are processed for the packet. The scanning order is important. For example, if you consider the rules 4 and 5 in the table are interchanged, then the IPsec traffic will be dropped. Also, from a performance perspective, it makes sense to put the most frequently acted upon rules earlier on. By doing so, we can take the decision on what to do with a packet. Finally, it is important to include the default deny rules at the end of the rule set. This prevents ambiguity over what action to take for a packet that has not been matched again the attribute in any of the previous rules. So last two it is. The next topic is about firewall types. Firewalls can be classified into three different categories. That is packet filtering firewalls, stateful packet inspection firewall, and application level firewalls. First we will see about packet filters or packet filtering firewalls. The processing the rules, what we have seen in the previous table, involves checking for matches in IP, TCP or UDP header. For example, it may be necessary to check whether a packet carries a certain specific source or destination IP address or port number. The earliest firewall designed to perform this task was packet filtering firewall. It is often performed by the border routers or access routers that connect the organization network to the internet. The border routers become the first line of defense against malicious incoming packets. Consider an example of email server, let its IP address will be ABC, that wishes to deliver mail to an organization. For this purpose, first it will establish a TCP connection with the organization email server. Consider a packet, the arrival of a packet with the following attributes. Source IP address as ABC, destination IP address as MS, port number is 25, and acknowledgement flag is set. Such packet would be part of a normal flow provided a connection between ABC to MS has been established. But suppose such a connection has not yet been established. Should the packet still be allowed in? The simple packet filter will allow the packet to enter even if no prior connection between ABC and MS was established. It should be noted that such packets are often used to perform port scans. Without an existing connection, the MS would send a reset in response to receipt of such packets. Thus, such packets provide information to the sender regarding which ports are open on various hosts within the organization. So, a simple packet filtering merely inspects the header of an incoming packet in isolation. It does not view a packet as part of the connection or flow. Hence, it will not be able to filter out such packet arriving from ABC. What is needed is a stateful packet inspection firewall. It is a firewall. These firewalls uses a packet's TCP flag and sequence acknowledgement number to determine whether it is part of an existing authorized flow. If it is participating in the establishment of an authorized connection, or if it is readily part of an existing connection, the packet is permitted, otherwise it is dropped. In the above example, what we have considered, the packets from ABC, the stateful packet inspection firewall will realize that it has not encountered the first two packets in the three-way handshake, will hence drop this packet. Next is application level firewalls. A packet filtering firewall, even with an added functionality of stateful packet inspection, it is still limited. It understands the network and transport headers but is indifferent to the application being run. What is needed is a firewall that can examine the application payload and scan packets for worms, viruses, spam mails, and inappropriate content. Such a device is called as deep inspection firewall. A special kind of application level firewall is built using proxy agent, such as a proxy firewall act as an intermediate between the client and server. The client establishes a TCP connection to the proxy, and the proxy establishes another TCP connection with the server. So just look at the diagram. The first diagram will show the connection without the use of proxy. Here the connection is directly between client and server. In the next example, you can see the connection is through proxy. So client establishes a TCP connection to the firewall, and firewall establishes a TCP connection to the server. So to a client, the proxy server will appear as the server, and to the server, the proxy server will appear as the client. Since there is no direct connection between client and servers, worms and other malwares will not be able to pass between these two, assuming that this proxy will detect and filter out the malwares. Hence, the presence of this proxy will enhance the security. There are proxy agents for many application layer protocol including HTTP, SMTP and FTP. In addition to filtering based on application layer data, proxies can perform client authentication and logging. An HTTP proxy can also cache web pages. Caching has a major impact on performance. If the web page is cached in web proxy server located in the client organization, the response time could be greatly reduced compared to that of where the page has to be fetched from the external web server. Also, caching reduces the demand on external communication bandwidth while erasing the load on the web server. Now we will look at some of the practical issues. The security architecture of a medium size or large organization include firewalls, proxy servers, VPN terminators and intrusion detection prevention devices. So here we are going to study about placement and configuration of firewalls and proxy servers. Placement of firewalls. We first know that firewall can help to segregate or isolate the network into multiple security zones. Each firewall in the organization enforces rules that control the transfer of packet between different security zones. At the very least, there are three zones: the internet, the region containing the publicly accessible server, and an internal network. So, this particular figure shows 4-zone layout using 3 firewalls. So, here you are having 3 firewalls. One is the border router itself, other one is firewall 1, firewall 2. And you will have 4 different zone layout: internet, DMZ1, DMZ2 and the last one, users at the workstation. So here, out of 3 firewalls, the first is really a router, that is the border router with some packet filtering capability. This is the access control router that interface with the internet. It is connected to a stateful firewall, that is FW1, which has 3 interfaces. The zone connected to the right of FW1 is referred as screened subnet, or it is also referred as demilitarized zone, DMZ. It is labeled as DMZ1. A DMZ in the true sense is the area between 2 firewalls. The zone between firewall 1 and firewall 2 is a DMZ labeled as DMZ2, that is between firewall 1 and firewall 2. Demilitarized zones are so called because they often host servers that are accessible to the internet and also to the internal network. Because they are accessible to the public, they are the most likely machine to be compromised in the entire network. For this reason, the machines in the DMZ often run hardened version of operating system. Also, unnecessary services on this machine should be removed and newly available patches for this machine should be deployed. So once a machine in the DMZ compromised, other machines in the DMZ could get infected. The next step could well be comprised of compromise of internal machines. That is, if a compromised machine in the DMZ shares a trusted relationship with an internal machine. Hence, the firewall that separates the DMZ from the internal network is crucial component of the security architecture. So here DMZ1 contain a publicly accessible servers. They include web servers, external email servers and DNZ servers. All incoming mail from the internet is received by these email servers which check for virus signature and spam mail. The DNS server resolve names of publicly accessible servers. However, care should be taken to ensure that it does not contain address records of any of the internal machines. The DMZ2 contain a internal email server. This is the server that hosts the mailbox of the company employees. It handles the sending and receiving of all mail between internal parties. It periodically establishes a connection to the external mail server to retrieve all incoming mails. Outgoing mails can be handled in several ways. The internal mail server can set up a SMTP connection to a remote mail server to transfer the mail. It can connect to an external mail server and uses it to relay all outgoing mails. The DMZ2 also contain an internal proxy server. All internal users who wish to access external web pages connected to the proxy. The proxy authenticates the internal user and decides whether page can be accessible. The proxy scans incoming web pages for virus signature and objectable content. Finally, the proxy also performs the caching of web pages. The internal network contain the application server, database servers and user workstations. It also contains an internal DNS server. The DNS server is different from external DNS in that it provides mapping between the domain names of the internal machines and their IP addresses. The internal machines all have private addresses. It is neither necessary or desirable for third parties on the internet to be aware of private address of the internal machine. Hence, this DNS server is placed in the internal network. So in the previous figure, we have listed servers in different security zones and specified their functionality. So in order to design the rule set of a firewall, we need to identify all possible authorized connection that might be set up between pair of machines in two different zones adjacent to the firewall. So here this table will show a simplified version of rule set. The first rule states that there is no machine from any other security zone is permitted to establish a connection to the internal machine. The rules 2 to 4 says that other than connection from internal stations to the internal mail servers and web proxy, that is port number 80, no other connections are permitted to DMZ1 and DMZ2 or the internet. So this particular table shows the rule set for firewall, that is for firewall 1. So here rule 1 in the table states that no TCP connection is to be established to any machine in DMZ2 from any machine in the DMZ1 or the internet. Rule 2 states that the external mail server can attempt connection from the internal mail server to receive incoming mails or send outgoing mails. The rule 3 allows connection to the external mail server from mail servers on the internet to deposit incoming mails. Rules 4 and 5 permit connection from the internet to the organization's web server and external DNS server respectively. The rule 6 state that no connection, no other connection may be set up to any machines in DMZ1 for any other purpose. The Internet proxy in DMZ2 and the external mail server are permitted to make connection to machines on the internet to access web pages and to send outgoing mails. That is the rules 7 and 8. Rule 9 confirmed that no other connection from the organization machine to the internet for any other purpose is allowed. So this is all about firewall chapter. Thank you.